Live from Spare Bedroom Studios, you are listening to Under PDT.
Welcome to Thursday, October 4th, Under PDT. Before I even say anything, I just want to say that on Monday, we have our JM interview of All Day Holds coming out, and that is going to be awesome. Matter of fact, it's so awesome that if you turned us off right now, I wouldn't even blame you. But we do have some interesting stuff to talk about in the market. But yeah, Wes, what do you have going on over there?
Man, not much. Still have a position on right now. I'm trying not to look at it so I can actually focus on being relevant in this podcast.
Right.
However, I am super excited about what JM is bringing. Man, we did that interview last night, and it was fire. I think maybe you and I spoke for a combined 5 minutes out of the entire 32, which is good. I like it that way.
It sucks we're so early in the podcast phase because I have this like dream in my head that we'll have super fans one day who will actually keep stats on stuff like that, which will probably never happen, but I like to think we will. And I would love to know how much talking we did versus how much talking he did.
Yeah, we're unfortunately going to have to do that ourselves.
So. That's going to have to be manual. But no, you're right. It was much better because he went into tons of detail, and you could tell this is stuff that is very important to him, and he wants it to resonate with whoever's listening. Yes. So he really, I mean, he left no stone unturned in explaining his answers and giving his point of view, which is perfect. That's what we want from our guests.
Yep. Yeah, man, and you can tell just, I mean, with his passion, he's hammered it home. So I think you can tell in the past of how much setbacks drove him crazy to get him to the point that he's at now. And well, everybody's going to get to hear about that on Monday.
Do you trust a trader who claims they're good if they're not a little crazy? Like maybe they've made their trading completely mundane now, and now they're totally solid, but they've been made to be a little bit crazy.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was ready to start tearing drywall out of the walls 2 days ago after OGEN. So
my coping mechanism, which by the way, OGEN, what a nightmare that was. Not a nightmare isn't the right word, but what a headache that was for me. I had a lot of unrealized gains that I didn't realize. And yeah, right. But my coping mechanism when something like that happens is I just think about like, what if I just go rogue, man, and like go on like a road trip to Tucson?
Yeah, Joshua Tree, mushrooms.
Yeah, that's like that sounds like a better life for me. All right, I'm gonna knock on wood as I say this, but VXRT is actually looking good at the moment, and I'm long, very small HSGX. We'll see if my premise plays out or if I'm crazy with my small size. Luckily, we're trading. I'll comment for you, and I'll say it on my own behalf. We're trading much better than we were just 2 days ago.
Yeah, I thought I hit my capitulation. What was that? Last week?
Yeah, you kind of recapitulated, but it was good.
A little bit. I dead cat bounced, but actually caught some momentum and got back up. And it's funny, like I said, I've been doing this for 8 years, and this mania still got me a little tilt to the point where, for no reason, I threw my risk just to the wind. And instead of doing what you're supposed to do and buy dips, sell rips, short rips, buy dips, I just kept taking that home run and overstaying. And, I'm ignoring technical indicators. I'm ignoring targets like JM would talk about, wanting more for really no reason. You stack all that up and you've got plenty. So,
yeah, that's the issue. I don't want to sound like your guy on Twitter who preaches at you like he's your father about trading, but that's the issue with making mistakes in your execution and making mistakes in how you organize your premises is that it compounds. You bring it to other elements of your trading. Let's say you have an edge that you have a really solid edge and you trade something that's not a really solid edge. And then when you trade something that's not really a solid edge, you get into FOMO and other trades that you might have missed, or you get into being out of control on your risk parameters, which is very dangerous. That's when you're really in treacherous territory. Mm-hmm. And then before you know it, you have a shit week and you're on there with your buddy on a podcast just lamenting.
Yeah. Pull out another one.
I know, right? The Momo, luckily, though, has spilled over out of it. I don't know if weed's even done because I stopped looking. I saw some people pissed off that Tilray wasn't down more on their convertible the private placement, which had convertible notes. I don't even know if Weed Momo's done. I'm not looking anymore. And what coincided with me not looking anymore is taking some pretty solid premises and making good money on them. So funny how that works out, right?
Yep. Yeah. I'm just done with them in general. At this point, it's a headache, and it's
Um,
everything's so headline driven. You got these wild swings up and down in pre market, post market. So yeah, leaving those where they're at, no problems there. But that was that kind of spilled over for me this week when I traded MNGA yesterday very well. I actually had
yeah,
good
that was
average on,
really good.
yeah, I had good average of both my accounts on that, and took them both off after hours around like a 38 average on both from 70 and 64. So I was happy with that. Had pretty good size. VTVT, a great opportunity, a great day ranger. I
Mm-hmm.
of course let FOMO get to me early, and that's just kind of been my tilt story since the Weed Mania, and got burned, stopped out, did get back in and recouped all the gains and more. But just the swing from red to green on the day, yes, it was still good money at the end of the day. And if you talk to some stranger on the street and tell them what you made, they'll tell you you're a raging asshole. However, you think if I don't have that FOMO and don't have those early entries to start, then what truly was the day? And it's never really the money at the end of the day unless you're dead broke. It's just about executing well, and the feeling of executing well and really being on your game, sticking to a game plan, being disciplined. Um, I think that's
This
I think that's with anybody, like an athlete that competes at a high level, and all of your training and everything that goes into the moments where it's time to perform and pulling it off.
this phrase is so overused on Twitter, but and you know what I'm gonna say.
Oh, I know where
It's
you're
the
going.
process.
It's the P word.
It's the process.
Yeah.
If your process is there, you can feel good about it. And if your process is not there, regardless if you ended up profitable on the day, you'll be concerned because there is an element of I'm in the wild, wild west. I'm not doing something that I know is verifiable to get me edges consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that when the I actually completely passed on VTVT. Now, did I miss out on a good short on the backside there? Yes, no question about it. But that was actually a catalyst for me getting recentered a little bit because I was like, look, man, you could trade AMRN, which it's still a very popular stock, but was almost a bit of low hanging fruit, or MNGA, which is a really excellent setup, and be just fine. And you don't have to worry about the headache of VTVT. And yeah, it worked out for a lot of people, but it could have not worked out. And I'm glad to have kind of turned that corner.
And one thing we did talk about the other day in chat, MNGA popped because they rebranded themselves, but they should have changed their ticker to MAGA. All they have to do is drop the N, add an A. You've got MAGA. I mean, who knows what the stock would go to? Maybe $10.
The stock is going $10. You're underselling it. If Tilray can go to 300, MAGA could go to 150. This is not a political statement at all. Just hear my point. It's going to be a cult stock.
More so making
There's going to be some people who are going to fucking love it, and then there's going to be people who short it no matter what. It's the perfect recipe.
Yeah, so that's a little let down by that. But speaking of low hanging fruit, I know you've got some other ones that you trade.
Yeah, we definitely had. Yeah, we had some good PTIE today. To me, was really a good setup. They had a conference. They have a form of dilution that incentivized bank selling from a lower level. Uh, Everything about that worked out positively, and I think attention was. NBev also had a conference at 11 today, and I think a lot of attention was there. It's opposed to being on PTIE, even though PTIE had the big afternoon yesterday. So I think all that worked in their favor, and that really came together nicely. And also VXRT was like the hot shot Momo runner super early on that diverted a lot of attention too.
Yeah, and I talked about it this morning and didn't get long, knowing it had pretty big potential to really run hard out of the gate. So I think that bothers me even more too. Yes, I have a short on it, but the long was much quicker, much less pain.
Yeah, the long you could have played 18 holes by now, just been back,
Right.
stroking your ego about how great it was. And your call was, I will testify for you, your call was spot on, and it was probably at like 7 a.m. Eastern. Like I'm groggy as hell in Central Time, checking to my computer, and Wes is just like, this has the perfect makings.
Yeah,
early immediate runner.
had 18,000 volume on it, so it's not on anybody's scanners. I keep my scanners really low just to pick on what could be up.
I do the same thing. I think that's a good move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
because that is chat room bait if I've ever seen it.
oh yeah, every time.
Yep.
IZEA, I didn't get
Mm,
locates on this, but what a sweet bleed.
that was a great bleed. Awesome job if you caught that. IZA is a bit frustrating for me. I did not get
And
it.
it still has the makings right now that could break 180, send it straight down to a close to a green to red test on the day. That would be nice.
I had to remove them for sanity purposes, but again, reiterate, well done if you caught it.
Yep. And then speaking
Yeah.
of the real low hanging fruit that you and I have been yelling at each other across the room all week in agreement is Tesla and Netflix and not trading them whatsoever. And every day
Yeah,
they have provided perfect setups.
they have been absolutely A plus setups. They're very simple technical barometers. You don't need to go count Tesla's Q4 production of the Model 3. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about technical barometers that are perfect with tons of range. And this is why we say trust the process, because this goes to show there's always room. You could just be better. It could just be better. We one day we will have hammered it into our heads enough that we should be trading these a lot. Maybe after Shapiro comes on the show, maybe that'll be like the turning point. Like, damn it, man, we need to get our shit together.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, but you could not be more correct about that. Those have been excellent.
That HSGX is actually
Moving right.
here. Yeah, I didn't say anything. I shorted it earlier 136 and covered at 115 on that the initial really steep climb it had.
Yeah. The super like the sort of blow off looking one.
Yeah,
To
it
yeah
looked like that to me.
yeah
So I was like, hey, just take a scalp. The worst thing you can do
yeah.
there is to get in to take a scalp and then not have any risk set up, not have a stop, and then it gets down to your target and try to eke out a little bit more only to get burned. That can happen.
Well, you bring up a good point. Scalping is a profitable way of trading. It's not how I trade, and I would certainly generally not define it as how you trade.
No.
But if you need to have context of whatever your premise is, I'm going to say context all the time now after we talk to JM. But you need to have context of whatever your premise is and understand that if you are approaching something as a scalp, don't use your same risk that you would use as a trade that's more higher conviction.
Absolutely not.
Otherwise, you get in trouble. Yeah, man. So that pretty much covers it. We don't want to get too carried away.
No.
What else do we have going on this weekend? We have anything? Well, first off, do we have any interesting trades into tomorrow?
I have nothing. I tell you, I'm long, obviously, myself on the golf course because that's where I'll be teeing off at 10:08 a.m. I'm not going to look at a stock tomorrow, and I don't know. I've got a good feeling about tomorrow. If I can get around par, I'll let you know.
I'm so fucking jealous because I know you're making the right decision, and I know I'll be glued to the screens.
I disagree. You're going to text me and back, look, man, I don't want to rub it in, but there was an absolute mammoth today, and I killed it. You spot me for my sports bets this weekend. 50-50.
Well, I have to say, listen, as we always say, look at the disclaimer on the site. We are not financial professionals. I am certainly not a fucking gambling professional. I am. If you faded my gambling picks, you'd probably be green. But I don't understand how LSU is minus 1.5 playing Florida.
Is everybody that pro Florida right now?
Everyone thinks Mullen has it figured out. They beat Mississippi State. Tennessee had the meltdown against them, and I think everyone is buying in. And this is where I fade the public.
Okay. I like that. I do like the pick. LSU's defense, I think, is rivaling Alabama's defense. They get the same athletes that Alabama gets. You look at the pros, man. There's so many good pros from LSU in the NFL. Yeah, I would definitely take the over on LSU.
Seeing what Ogeron has LSU at, does that not make you think like Les Miles is just the biggest idiot ever?
He was just too conservative. The game passed him by.
The game passed him. He would have been the best coach ever if he was like the 1940s.
Yeah. I was actually trying to think of a trading analogy of what a dinosaur might be doing.
He's the General Electric of head coaches.
Placing trades over the phone to your broker while reading quotes out of the morning newspaper.
Oh my God, yes. Or, I mean, I'm 30 years old. I remember like watching CNBC. My parents would have it on, and like ticks were an eighth of a point.
Yeah.
Which that actually brings it up, and I do not know the answer to this. When does the tick pilot program end?
It's over.
It's officially over?
Yeah, it happened last Friday.
And I forgot to have my party?
Yeah, you had no party. You didn't invite me. No party.
Fuck me. That is that. Well, I'm actually gonna open a beer to that as soon as we wrap up here.
There you go.
Um, yeah, man, that is great news. I did notice I didn't see I didn't see any pilot program stocks on Scan this week. I just didn't think anything of it. Well, that's nice.
Yep. Finally.
Yeah. Seriously, finally. Well, all right, guys, we won't carry on for too long. Um, we have the awesome JM interview. That's gonna be a longer episode. It's gonna be actually over double the length of this one. But that's coming out Monday, and we do have an interview with Shapiro upcoming. Don't have the specific date yet, but when we do have that, we'll get it to you as soon as we possibly can. But otherwise,
we got to line up when it's convenient for Dan. But and we'll get him on here. I don't think Dan will stay longer than 20, 25 minutes, but that's what we like to try to keep this at. We're gonna have guys come on and recur. I think.
Yeah, we're gonna have recurring guests.
And we keep these things short so that it's easier to retain what we're bringing up, and our listeners aren't getting zoned out, and you're not losing things. Take a little bit of info from a small session, and then we'll do another one and another one. I think that's the best way for people to take good information out of these sessions.
Yeah, and if you guys have anything you want to send to us, do it. We will feature it on here. We'll reply to you on social. By no means are we so big that we don't see what you guys are saying. We pretty much see it all, and I'm kind of disappointed we don't have any trolls yet, but that's another story.
We'll get them.
We'll get them soon enough. But all right, guys, have a good weekend.